Japan, I'm coming back to you.
Welcome back to the Nihon no Madoguchi podcast with your hosts Domo, and
And Marty, it's been a while, isn't it?
it's been quite a while. I'd say 2, 3 years.
No, no,
and
no. 2 years, 2 years.
2 years, 2 years. Okay. Well, a lot has happened in 2 years for the both of
Oh,
us. One thing being, one of us is no longer in Japan.
not at
Take
all.
a guess
Yes.
who?
Yeah. You can see by the lights of the screen which one of the two. Over there it's
True.
night, over here it's morning. And yes, although Japan is the land of the rising sun, I am not in Japan at the moment.
So where are you currently? If you
Yeah,
don't
I
mind telling
moved.
the world.
Yes, I moved to France 1 month ago. So we're recording in end of November. Actually 2 months ago. I moved here at the end of September. Actually, I was moved here in the sense that I did not choose to move out of my own will. My wife got promoted into France with her current job, so I followed her. So yes, I was not
Mm.
chased out of the country. I didn't do something weird. No, I still have my visa. I am glad that I can still come back to Japan, but for the near future, a couple of years probably. Hope it's only a couple of years. I will be in France. And you're still in the high mountains of the Saga Prefecture, right, Domo?
This is true. I'm still in Saga Prefecture, living amongst the mountains and the rice paddies, as you know, the rice fields, and living in a city that's known for its tea and hot springs. So that's quite nice. The hot springs are known for skin beautification. And I don't know if you can tell,
Nice.
my skin is quite beautiful. I have to, get into
Yeah.
the hot springs a couple times. And
So you don't need lotion when you live there. You don't need
oh
lotion anymore.
no, I still need low. Well, when I leave the hot springs, no,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
in general, I still do need lotion. I can't
nice.
be out here looking ashy. But and on the tea about the tea, it's the tea here is nationally acclaimed, and I'm almost certain that it won first place in the national tea
Oh,
competition that they have um, for
mm,
the Hojicha. I think it was the Hojicha that won. It's
nice.
kind of like the roasted tea, it's like kamairi cha. Um, very delicious. I recommend everyone come because I live in a city called Udeshino, right? So it's
Mm.
Udeshino tea and Udeshino hot springs. Come on down, get that beautiful skin, and drink that delicious tea.
It was very lovely. Actually, I had the chance to go to his place a couple of times through the years.
Mm.
Once I got the only week where it was raining, so it was quite, but it was quite lovely. You have all the mist in the mountains. It's a very picturesque place. The second
Mm.
time got better weather. It was summer, but even for summer, it was not that hot. Like it was not dying hot like you can have in Tokyo, where you have like
Yeah.
really high, how do you say, humidity that
Mm.
really drags you down. Yeah, and I also bought some tea from Ureshino that we enjoy still to this day, and
That's good.
very good tea over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, what are you doing there? If you can remember, I mean, if you can, how do you say it? Remind us.
Yeah, yeah,
Couldn't
yeah.
find it.
No, that's okay. It's okay. So yes, if you guys, whether you remember or not, I'm gonna tell you anyway. But if you happen to remember, I am a part of the JET program, but not an AOT. I'm a CIR, which is a coordinator of international relations. So rather than teaching English in the schools or assisting in teaching English in the schools, uh, I work in the local government office, the city hall, in the tourism department and do a variety of jobs there. Uh, and the CIR position is a position that requires a certain level of Japanese, to be able to do it. but you don't have to have say like the JLPT to get it, as long as
Right.
you prove that you have the ability to communicate effectively in Japanese, communicate your thoughts, and be able to read as well. Anyone can get it. So if you think that's you think you're Nihongo Jozu, you gotta go ahead try it. It's very competitive, the JET program. It's known as the creme de la creme of English teaching programs, because they pay for everything from your plane ticket all the way up until you get to your placement. So your you stay in a hotel, do orientation, things like that. Whereas other programs, they may not. You may have to foot the bill on your plane ticket and things like that, as well as the salary as well is not super high, but it's higher compared to other programs. It might be the highest compared to other programs. So I'm living nice since I'm in the countryside in the mountains. Cost of living is quite low out here, so I'm not really struggling in any way, shape, or form. It's quite nice, and the day-to-day of the job is quite slow. Don't do a lot, and do a lot of translating, and not a lot of interpreting, as you would expect, because most of the foreigners who live in Udeshino, they're from Asia, a lot of them, Southeast Asia, and a majority of them don't speak English. They speak their native tongue and maybe some broken Japanese and maybe some broken English, so we could probably communicate a little bit, but because a lot of them just don't speak English at all, it's there's not a lot of interpreting requests, that come my way. So I spend a lot of time in the office, banging away,
typing and stuff.
At the
I remember that you work in the tourist department, right? In the town.
Yes.
Yes. So you're more related to the promotion of the municipality towards the outside.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Yes. I don't think they need much like interpretation locally. Like as you say, that there are not so too many foreigners, so maybe in these rurality places, what they need is like someone who is proficient enough in English to be able to advertise and advise on the tourist policies. I remember it was the same thing. There was when I did my work on Takashiko for my master degree. Takashiko is a similar place in Miyazaki Prefecture, still in the mountain, and they mainly live out of tourism. And I remember in the tourist office there was a JET program related person, that was working with the tourist office for translating all the files and all the documents related to the local folk performing art. And they were also involved with promoting Takachiho outside of the Japanese sphere.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about your visits to Takachiho, multiple occasions.
Yeah.
But then from the way you describe it, it's literally in the mountains. There's not a lot there. It's quite isolated. So it's quite surprising to hear that there's a jet. They have a jet like working there. To help kind of promote.
There was also a professor, ALT as well. And I think they got married, actually, the ALT and the CIR.
Oh.
Probably they were the only.
You're the only two there, and it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. When I was there, they already had a kid, and I think they were expecting the second one. So.
Oh.
Yeah. But yes, Takachiko is even more in the mountain than Saga Prefecture. Like it takes you quite a while to get up to Takachiko. So it's even more rural. I think it may be one of the most rural places in Japan, along with like Tohoku and middle of Japan. So it's a quite folkloristic view and not the Japan you expect. So you were saying that your work over there in Eurasian is coming to an end. So how's
Yes.
that about? How is the end of the JET program working out?
Well, I still technically have about a year and a half.
Right.
So the end of my contract will be got to July of 2026. So right now it's November
Nice.
2024.
24.
So literally have a year and a half before we come to an end. But a year and a half will go by very quickly. So I'm starting to feel the pressure a little bit. Like I'll have to start looking for some other options. Now there is a career fair thing that they have for Jets,
which is
that
nice.
you get to go to in your last year, your final year. So technically, this is still my 4th year, so I still have. I'll be in my final year in about 7 to 8 months, right? After in August of next year, I'll enter the 5th year, the final year of Jet, and then I'll be eligible to participate in the fair. And so that's one thing I'm thinking about, but there's no guarantee that there'll be something there for me or anyone will take me on. So I'm also looking on my own, just here and there, seeing what's available. It's quite daunting, trying to do the job hunting in Japan.
Job hunting in Japan is not easy because the system is slightly different. I don't know about the US, but for Europe, it's not the same system in the sense that the focus that you put on the way you present yourself to the company is slightly different. The method, for example, one simple example is the way you present your CV. In France, for example, you have a lot of creative way to express yourself, the format is free, and on the contrary, the more it is eye-catching, the more rewarding it is. It is what's often said. While in Japan, the CV is very formatted, and you cannot do something different. And also, the key points are very different. They have a more standardized way of doing job hunting and of recruiting as well. Of course, I have experience as a shinsotsu, which means that I didn't have previous serious job experiences. Shinsotsu means that you are just graduated, so you're applying for your first main job, not baito, which is the student job, but the proper seishain or similar, where you are actually hired and you have a contract with a long-term duration. So yes, I cannot advise for midterm career change, because that will be what you will do most definitely. But at the same time, the good point is that you have been working in Japan for 4 years consecutively with the same company, if you can call it company, but at the same place. It's not like you've been job hopping every 6 months, because this is not very well perceived in Japanese companies. But you have when you will start looking for your job, you will have 5 consecutive years in the same position, in the same place. So it is something that can reassure the Japanese company.
Yeah.
Especially because they will be the one that will be your guarantors to do the visa procedures and everything. So half of the job of job hunting in Japan is reassuring the hiring company that you are not a liability. And of course, the other half is that are you really helpful to them? But that's really on a case-to-case person-to-person basis.
Yeah.
So that's the only person that can do that yourself, in a sense, the way you present yourself and the way that you highlight your skills. But yes, if you manage to convince them that you're a safe bet, you won't cause trouble, and you won't be a bother in creating the visa, that's half of the job done, actually.
Yeah, that sounds about right from what I've heard, from what I've seen, kind of looking around on the internet and things like that. Yeah, the liability part, people will they'll just they'll up and leave, and do all types of things, and the company's the one that's stuck with the responsibility. So that definitely makes sense. Yeah, the CV, that's quite important, because I've recently looking into it myself. I'm coming up with the Japanese CV, a resume. Obviously I have an American one, an English one, but now I'm trying to create the Japanese one for getting started earlier, rather than later. I think is definitely helpful. And
especially because when you start, there is like a learning curve of how to do job hunting in Japan that is quite steep at first. So if you start now that you don't have the urgency to find a job, then you can go through this learning curve when you don't have the pressure of finding a job. Because it's quite steep at the beginning, learning all the they call it Seimon Hyogo, so the specific words and the specific vocabulary to write a CV in Japanese. It's not your standard Japanese speaking or writing. You have a lot of keywords that you use and you may not be familiar with. You can copy paste from internet formats as well, but it takes some time. I think it took me 2 to 3 months to understand how a CV was properly done in Japanese. I didn't have any type of formation at university to do a CV, so I had to start from scratch.
So I wanted to ask you, since you're talking about your experience with making, creating a CV yourself, a Japanese CV yourself. Are you currently what is your current job, and how did you go about finding that?
So the way I found this job is quite peculiar. It is definitely not the standard procedure, I would say. So when I first came to Japan, I relied on websites like Daijob and Daijob and Gaijinpot. Indeed. Gaijinpot. Indeed, I tried, but the UI interface is so complex, even in Japanese, that I couldn't find the job offers that were targeted to me, because I used keywords like English, for example, or Italian, or translator, or anything that would really be related to foreigner. But most of the time, the company, for example, there was one company that had an Italian name, and then the keyword Italian was in the job description, but related to the company. So they were not actually looking for a foreigner. Simply their company had an Italian name. So Indeed was awful. Probably you can find... It is the place where you can find most of the jobs that are not within the sphere of foreigner-related websites. So it is the best website to go seek for a job, but you have to really struggle with the UI interface. So the way the website is wired is not the easiest. So at the time, I didn't know that Daijob and Gaijinpot were mainly to change your work, meaning that you have already one work and you want to change it to Japan. So They are not mainly tenshuku related websites. So tenshuku means changing your job. But yes, most of the offers that were on these websites were related to changing your job. So you're already doing a job in your country. You are already some necessary skills that you can apply to those jobs. Also, to be fair, most of the announcements were related to teaching English. And you know that teaching English in Japan can be tricky. There are many stories of foreigners that don't have a really happy life teaching English.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yes. I don't remember which one, which company was that forced you to become sole proprietorship. So they actually forced you to be a contractor. So they don't hire you directly. It's force you to create like your company as a sole proprietorship. And then you have to pay your own taxes because you're teaching English, like for example, Eikawa, so this one-to-one teaching of English. And I'm also a sole proprietorship, and I can assure you that the taxes in Japan, they are bad. I mean, if you don't earn much money, you spend a lot of, you pay a lot of taxes. Paradoxically, if you gain more, the more you get, the less you pay in percentage of what you pay.
It's literally the opposite of America.
Yes,
because in America, it's the more you make, the more they take.
Yes,
that is the same.
In term of let's say in term of money, the more you make, the more they take. But in terms of how much they take from what you gain, actually, the spectrum is a little bit more in a gray zone, actually, because there are some taxes. For example, the Hoken, Kenkoku Hoken, which is like the national health insurance. It's the same. It's the same price for everyone. No, sorry. The Kenko Hoken changes depending on your revenues, but the Nenkin, which is the retirement system, is the same for everyone. So whether you gain, let's say $3,000 per month or 1,050, you pay the same amount for your retirement plan. Yes. And usually when you are an English teacher, you don't make much money, which means that they take much of your money for these taxes.
Yeah.
So it can be difficult. So to come back to what happened. So I relied on this website and I was contacted by how do you call it? Haken Gaisha. How can you call it in English? So dispatch
agency. Call it a temp. Yeah. Dispatch agency, kind of like a temp service as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was hired in through their services. I was hired in one company that was related to mobile video games. It was we were working on a gacha video game, and I was tasked with doing the language quality check for the French department. So being a Haken, so a dispatch agent, means that you are not safe from being fired at any moment. So your work is defined through your contract period, which means that it can go monthly or every 3 months or every 6 months for up to 2 years. So basically for the company that hires you means that whenever there is the need to cut something, you can be cut without being very protected by the system. So it's a way. Also, I think tax-wise, they don't pay as much. But the most important thing is that if you are a regular employee, firing you is very difficult, even in Japan, especially in Japan. So you cannot fire someone that easily. But if you rely to foreign contractors, you're not as safely protected by the law. And that was my case actually. So I didn't. At first I thought that I could go to that company and make some experience for a certain amount of time, just to have enough to show to the future hiring company that I work for a certain amount of time for a Japanese company, and I also did some skill up. And however, that company decided to close the French department 1 month after they hired me. Don't ask me what was the logic behind that. I don't know. I asked them and they didn't really reply. But since I was a dispatch agent, there is not much you can complain about, actually. That's the issue with this type of work. And the same company that hired me for, the same dispatch company that hired me for this first job actually proposed me a second job after that one, which is quite complex to catch up. But basically, I'm working for the Pokemon company. And I'm working in support of the localization of the anime for the India market.
Indian market.
Yes, the Indian markets. So I don't speak Indian languages, but what they needed was not someone who could speak Indian, but rather someone who had good scheduling skills and good relation skills, because they needed to use me as an in between the Pokemon company and the vendor company to conduct the localization process. And,
interesting.
Yeah, so it was quite lucky, and definitely not the most straightforward and typical of career path. So I'm still a sole proprietorship, so it means that I'm not an employee of Pokemon. Actually, I'm still working with my dispatch agency that makes me in relation. They make the relation between me and Pokemon. But technically, I work every day with the people for Pokemon, from Pokemon. Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun. It's very fun. It's very challenging. Yeah. You learn a lot every day. You see how a big company moves, and it's really like a learning experience and a very formative experience. So yes. But if you ask me, how can you work with Pokemon, I cannot answer you, because that's not what I did. Actually, it was more like a lucky shot. So there is not, if you do this, then you can work for Pokemon. I cannot give you like this guideline, unfortunately.
Could someone who's watching the podcast possibly reach out to you and be like, hey Marty, could you hook me up, give me, I mean, you got the connections to Pokemon, you can recommend me or something like that?
If they can speak Indian, any type of Indian languages, and the conjunction makes it that we are looking for an Indian translator at the moment, yes. Right now, we are not. They are not looking for new translator for Indian languages. So for the time being, I don't think it is a job opening. And if I knew how to become a full-time employee, I think I would take the spot before any of the listeners.
Fair enough. But that sounds actually like a cool job, working for Pokemon. I mean, even if it's through dispatch or temp service. I feel like the experience is literally priceless and invaluable. And write that on the CV. Worked at Pokemon. Hey. Everyone's like,
It's very formative. It's very formative also because it gives you an appreciation and a formation regarding how to handle important IPs for especially for the cultural market. like an example that I always make is that why this process is important. What we do is that we put a lot of attention into the quality check of every step of the localization. Simply because if you have the Pikachu, for example, is the mascot of Pokemon, and if it is mispronounced as Pikachu, then it is a direct impact on the brand value and potential markets. So yes, we are working with really delicate IP in this sense that we have really to put a lot of effort and attention and care into protecting it and to really make it reach the viewers. So it is interesting. As you can see, I have the Pokédex poster just as a note.
Yeah, and since today's episode is going to be quite short, it's going to be a short one. We'll follow up and continue our discussion in the next episode. But just kind of like just kind of to add on to what you were saying about your job here. When you came down to visit me, the most recent time, I believe it was in September, maybe August, something before you went, to France. I remember there was, and even the time before, because I believe you're also working.
Yeah, it's been 3 years, almost 3 years now. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a job that you can do remotely, right? You can do it anywhere. As long as you have a computer and internet. And I remember there were distinct times where he would bust out the laptop and literally listen and watch a full episode of Pokemon. and I was like, we were like driving a couple of hours going to Fukuoka, and or maybe we're coming back. I don't remember which way, but he's like, all right, I need to he's like, I need to work, soon my son. And then he went into work mode. And seeing how much attention and care you give to to this job and to the IP and things like that. I was quite moved, right? I was condoled, like kind of, oh man, like this is what it takes to work, for a big company like Pokemon, and especially if it's remote. You kind of have to be ready to go at a moment's notice and handle the business as it comes. It was quite interesting to see.
I mean, it's the good and the good and the bad, if you want, is that the good part is that you can work from everywhere you want. Like, they were really kind and they accepted that I could work from France. There is 8-hour delay between Japan and France. So of course I also give in the sense that I make it that I wake up every day at 6 a.m. so that I can reduce the gap in case there are some urgencies or there are some necessary tasks that have to be handled. So that instead of having 8 hours gap between when I wake up and when the work has to be done, there's only 4 hours. So yes, they were very kind into allowing me to work from here, which is not a given, considering that try to say to Ureshino, I want to go to live to France, or I don't know, something very far, and I want to work from home, and there is 8-hour delay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
That's the whole work day, like choku muzakashi ne,
Yes.
And I guess it's a testament to how well you've performed your duties. How well you've done this job over the last 3 years, that they were like, yeah, we want to keep you around, right? Even if you have to go to France and there's a time difference, we know that you'll be able to get the job done and you'll handle it despite that or in spite of that, right?
I cannot say this myself. I won't manga ichi they listen. I won't don't want to appear too obnoxious. But yes, they put some trust in me and the work I'm doing. So yes, for that I have to be really thankful and also give in even more, like waking up at 6 a.m. or Friday. I wake up
We
at
need
3
some
a.m.
compromise.
because, yes.
Yeah.
So on Fridays I wake up at 3 a.m. because we have some meetings to be done, absolutely. But I'm willingly to do it. I mean, there is the compromise as well. They also asked me before accepting if working from this far would have an impact on my health, and if I was willing to do this. So it's not like, of course, they cared also about my ability to is putting the
It was my alarm. See what I'm saying?
Is the chime of the end is coming close, so I will just cut it short for.
No,
So
no
yes,
worries, no
so
worries. Yeah,
they were not just concerned about the quality of the work, but also the quality of my work environment. So this is also something that maybe we can conclude the first episodes from post hiatus on this note. Because this man here has to do some karaoke. That is why he has some duties he has to perform in front of a live audience.
I don't know if I've told you guys in the previous episodes, because maybe no, actually I don't think I did, because the second episode we were talking about how I had broken up with my ex-girlfriend.
Yes. So there's been an update.
There's an update. I'll tell you about that in the next episode though.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll go ahead and end it here. I'm glad we got to catch up and get you guys caught up to where we are and what we're up to. There's gonna be a lot more is happening.
More frequency. We have much more to talk about, and
more to
we
talk
are willing
about.
to
right.
To catch up ourselves as well. So definitely it would be a more of a regular from now on.
Yeah.
So yes, we're looking forward to this new beginning, new horizon, as the new season of Pokemon is called.
Yeah, I've heard. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to us getting back into the swing of it, and pumping these episodes out. While providing some interesting content for the listeners.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Now that you guys can see my face, they see our face, but that's all we got for you today. And that'll end.
As they say, sayonara.
That is what they say. Sayonara. Actually, matane. Because we'll see you in the next one.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.